Hello there, welcome back to our three-part episode on logos. So we're going to dive right back into to our third part. Take a look at the first two parts. If you were not with us, I guess just a quick recap. We have our Trello board here, and we're going to continue where we left off. So before we did the mountains and also the lettering, some circles and polylines. And so let's do the easy part, two lines. You can hold the shift key to make sure it's horizontal, and by default line is just click and click. You know, it's just two ends to a point. All right, so here's where we're going to use the curve tools. That's just not straight or a circle or a part of an arc. So you can do curve, and when you look at the help here, it'll tell you that, actually we should just do it so you can see. When you click, 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 it's actually setting the control points. And what do we mean by control points? If you do this, press enter. The control points control the curvature, all right? And you can do this if you want, but I find it easier to use InterpCrv. You see that? It stands for interpolative curve. And it will allow you to sort of click through the curve. So again, easier shown than said. So let's just sort of follow along. And we want to try to minimize the number of control points, because the more control points there are, that's more information that Rhino is processing, and it's going to make it more likely to slow down. So it is an art to try to figure out how many control points. And so let's just sort of do this first, maybe half of the S to right here, so that we can pause and take a look. And we're going to try to pick only the points when it sort of starts to turn. And again, it's kind of hard to describe and something that you'll get better with over time. So let's just click this one and then press return. Click on the curve, and now you can sort of adjust and make it form to what you need. And you can see that's pretty good. We can continue. Okay, InterpCrv. And let's go ahead and try to pick the remainder of the points. Okay, enter. So now we'll go in and try to match that up to that top half there. And a lot of times you just kind of have to move, kind of go back and forth moving things. And again, you're going to get better with time. Now, let me do this outer half. And this time I'm going to definitely put too few points. So let's just try here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Okay. I'm going to delete. I'm going to, let's see, try that again. Just as few as possible. Let's say this was it. All right, so you start adjusting, and you might have to move over to sort of see where your control points are. Now, as you move it around, you might discover, hey, I don't have enough points. So what you can do is type insert control point, select the curve here, and really it doesn't matter where you put it because you can relocate it afterwards. So now I can readjust this. And again, it's going to take a number of moves. And by moves, I mean adjustments to your curve. It's going to take a number of moves to sort of get it exactly right. And you might determine, hey, I need yet another curve. Let's see how we're going to stand here. Yeah, I think we need another curve. So again, you can insert control point. Okay. Done. Oops, not trying to translate it here. Got to zoom in on our point. All right, and again, it's going to take a lot of practice so you can sort of get the hang of it over time. And it really depends just on how well formed it is. All right, we can hide our underlay, and not bad. All right, I got a little bit that I can trim off, but you can do that to clean it up. All right, let's go to our last logo. So review. We got our logo downloaded here. Drag and drop. Put it into a picture. Click once. Click again. If you need to set a dimension, you can, and then resize it. But we're just gonna dive right in. I guess I can adjust the transparency just a little bit on this image. Okay, and it looks like I placed the new logo on the mountain layer. So if you have time, just to be disciplined and organize things, that's good. I'm going to put this on my underlay. That's set. And let's see, how about we do yellow? We haven't done yellow yet. We'll call this one bat. And then switch that to our active layer. All right, so we see some symmetry here. So let's drop a line. Doesn't have to go the full span. Your best guess. Click once. We assume the photo is upright. Click again. You got your line. And then we have one more line that's going to go from about here to here. Okay? And so now, the question is how many different segments? I like to break this down. We could try to like click, 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 click all around. Pause the video. How many different pieces of these interpolative curves or splines do you think we need? All right, I'm going to argue we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, here in Rhino, there is a lot more finer control, so you could probably slice and dice that to more or fewer. But let's just go right in. I'm going to type interpolative curve, go from end to here. All right, and then enter. Let's see, this one control point should do it. We're going to find out. Yep, that about does it. All right, now what about this one? For this one, we're going to do something different. It's called a handle curve. It's called a handle curve because they're going to provide you with these control handles to give you finer control. Now, when there are more controls, when you are able to do more with a tool, that means you might need to adjust more. Okay, but this is just to show you different tools. So this is going to set the direction of the handle and then the location. Okay, and then location and then handle and location, handle. All right, I haven't set the location yet, so I'm going to press return. When I click on this, all right, you see how initially you might think, whoa, that's a really big curve, but actually it's not that complex. We can easily adjust. Voila. All right, so go ahead. You can continue doing the rest of it, either the interpolative curve or the handle one. It's really up to you. I think to start off for learning, the interpolative curve is better. And again, I like to break it up in segments. Whenever I'm designing something, it's nice to break it up into pieces so I am not tackling too much at once. Makes it a little less overwhelming for me. Okay. And let's see if we can pull this off there. Yeah, you see it doesn't quite give a nice sharp corner. I mean, you can fix it, but I like to break it down into pieces. So again, the handle curve we did a moment ago, it gives you more control to something that's has more complexity, but you have more things that you need to adjust. All right, how about there? Okay. And move this around. Handle. All right, so let's say this is good enough. We can hide our underlay to prove that we've been doing this right. And one more thing, this isn't quite overlapping, so we want that to overlap. Okay, we can trim that if we need. And this, sure, we'll just kind of scoot it over. Oops. We can actually turn the gumball off in this case. All right. So now we can mirror this over. We can also do a little trimming real quick. We're going to trim this. Oh, oops. Let's try that again. We didn't really need to do that. Let's see, right about here. Oops. Try this down here. Trim. All right, not quite working the way I'd like for it to. You saw how trim worked earlier. Let's just go ahead and symmetry this. I think it's because it's all selected. All right, let's try that again. We're going to select our entire piece. Right, for whatever reason, it is not selecting well. I'm not sure why. So we'll just do some shift clicking here. Okay, symmetry. And then we're going to pick our plane. And like that. And yes, I don't know why it is not showing up on the other side. Very, very strange. Okay, well, let's just trust that is. And the last thing we're going to do is once you've gotten some form, if you want to make it into 3D, you can. So we can switch to our perspective here, and we'll see if this works or not. So we're going to extrude. And actually, we don't want to extrude surface. We just want a plain old extrude, or extrude curve. And we can select, let's pick the top view here. Once again, it's not quite doing what I wanted to do. Let's pick. All right, let's pick this. All right, extrude. All right, so we're in the top view, not really seeing much. But if we go over here, now we can extrude it to a certain height. And then if we want to scale it, we can scale it in one dimension, pick a base point, pick a direction, and adjust as needed. So there you go. In 3 episodes, we've done the basics of some logo tracing. Again, I apologize. I'm not sure exactly why this is not working out here in terms of selecting and picking things. But I think you get the general idea. And feel free to find other things to trace, logos, brands, international sort of, what do you call it, pictograms, or the Winter Olympics. You know, they always have these simple graphics. They're very geometric. Those are all good things to practice tracing. And then once you trace something, you can then modify it, parody it, and sort of be creative with that. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.